All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining me. My name is Heidi McIndoe. I'm a registered dietitian, and today we are here to talk about supplements. Hopefully, I'll give you a nice overview on what supplements are, who might need them, things to look out for. I do have the chat open, so if you have any questions as I'm talking, please feel free to put them in the chat at any time. I will save time at the end for questions, but like I said, I'm fine. If you're like me and you need to write that question so you don't forget it, feel free to just pop them right in the chat. I do not, however, have the Q&A open, so I cannot see those questions, only the chat questions or comments. All right, so today we are going to talk a little bit about what supplements are, how they're regulated. I want to talk about when and why people should maybe consider taking them. I think there's a lot of confusion around that, and some safety tips that it's really, really important to keep in mind when it comes to supplements. Oops, sorry, I couldn't speak. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. All right, so what are supplements? So supplements, by definition, are basically items that are taken or products that are manufactured. So again, versus an apple that grows on a tree. So these are products manufactured and taken by mouth that contain a dietary ingredient. That's directly from the definition. So what is a dietary ingredient? They include vitamins, minerals, amino acids, could be herbs. Also, it could be something to improve or increase somebody's dietary intake, such as a fiber supplement, things like Metamucil, stuff like that. And it can also be metabolites or extracts and concentrates of various substances. So those are all what fall under the category of what is a supplement. Supplements, basically, the goal of supplements is to ensure that an individual is getting an adequate intake of all their nutrients, but also some certain nutrients can help reduce one's risk of certain diseases. And in those cases, it may be beneficial to have a supplement, or that's what a certain supplement may do. And supplements can come in many forms, tablets, capsules, gel caps, liquids, powders that you may mix into something. So there's lots and lots of different ways that you can include a supplement into your lifestyle. Like I say, it may be a tablet or a capsule that you're swallowing, but it may be a liquid or a powder that you add to something else, add to a beverage or another liquid, something along those lines. So regulating supplements in the United States. And this is really important because it's, as with anything that we ingest, we want to make sure that someone has made sure whatever it is we're ingesting is what it says it is, and is not harmful when consumed as recommended. So the FDA, or the Food and Drug Administration, is who is responsible for regulating both the supplements themselves as well as all the ingredients that might go into making a supplement. And there are different rules that must be followed for foods, for drugs, and for supplements. So they're not all exactly the same. And the FDA is the organization that when there is a supplement found on the market that has been mislabeled, is not what it says it is, has been altered in some way, or the ingredients could potentially be risky, it's the FDA that takes action on those supplements. And I will say, it seems that this type of action doesn't so much occur because a product may be dangerous, and I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but typically the FDA tends to be involved more often when the supplement maybe isn't, it's either promising something that isn't true, or it's not exactly being forthcoming with what is in their product, which in itself could be harmful. But I guess what I'm trying to say is we don't see as many cases where a supplement is just outright dangerous for everyone because it has a harmful ingredient in it. Let's see, I just see we have a couple questions. Oh, okay, just somebody saying to check the webinar. Sorry, I thought that was a question for me. Yes, the FDA should be testing everything that is on the market, or yes, regulating them, I should say. So the DSHEA Act of 1994 is something that was put in place to help ensure that supplements sold in the US are labeled appropriately and are unadulterated, means, you know, nothing in additional to what is on the label has been added to that product. And this is why it's really, really important. You want to make sure, this is sort of one of those precautions. You know, we always hear stories about people going to other countries to get, you know, different medication or different supplements because, well, they're not available in the US. And there's a good chance they're not available because they may not be, you know, the US tends to have some of the most strict regulations on protecting what is in those bottles and jars of supplements. So it may be easier to find a product in another country, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that product is safe. It doesn't necessarily mean that what is listed on that label is what is actually in the bottle. And that's one of the most dangerous things about supplements. You really want to make sure that you know what's in that pill that you're taking in. It should be clearly marked on the label. And that's what the FDA and the DSHEA Act hope to enforce. And USP is another agency that's very beneficial. For me, this is the most outward consumer facing organization, I guess. Most of us as Americans, we're not, you know, scrolling through the FDA's, all their documents and things like that. We're not reading these legal acts that have been seeing who's being sued. But what USP does, if you've ever seen the USP label on a supplement, that is a good sign. What USP does, it stands for United States Pharmacopoeia, and they have standards. And what they do is they are an outside testing organization. Outside meaning outside from a specific company. A company, you know, company XYZ may make a product and tell you it's got a certain item in it at a certain amount, and that's great, but getting another outside organization to test that and confirm that, yes, it has the amount of this vitamin in it that it says it is, and that's all that's in this product. So USP, sorry, is basically just a great standard to look for, a great label to look for on a food label. You know that you are now not only just trusting the company who created the product, but this is an outside agency that has gone in and tested and confirmed, yes, this bottle has what it says it has. Pharmacy has been FDA approved. If it's for sale, it should have been FDA approved. There shouldn't be anything in our market that is being sold as a supplement that is not FDA approved. That being said, how do I put this? Some organizations can, how do I want to say this? You want to make sure that, again, if you're walking through a local drugstore. Yes, those products will be FDA tested. I guess the concern, what I'm trying to say is when you start to order things online, again, I'm not saying if you're ordering from CVS, an American company that you're just ordering because you're not going down the street to the store. But when you're starting to order things, say from Amazon, through ads that you might see on Facebook or Instagram, that's when the question of approval and safety and efficacy and ingredients really gets brought into the limelight, because we don't know where those products come from. So that's, for me, that's the biggest concern. Yeah, I'm very comfortable to go into a local pharmacy and get something and know that it's what it says it is. But I'm much less likely, probably will never order something like this that I'm going to ingest as a nutrient from some random ad from Facebook, no matter how legit the company seems. Or again, Amazon. Amazon's a very trustworthy company, but there are companies that sell through them that aren't Amazon products. Other companies, other individuals can sell on Amazon. And again, the difficulty is confirming both the source and the quality of those types of supplements. So that's my biggest concern. And interesting too, what you want to be sure of, as a sort of just side note of this conversation, sometimes there are supplements, and it's again why this USP label is important on these products. Sometimes there are supplements, especially those that come from the ocean. So say something like, moss, sea moss, things like that. What those supplements contain is very much dependent on where they were grown, what part of the ocean they were grown in, what's in that water. And so that's where we don't want to just trust any Joe Schmo, because there could be toxic levels of mercury or other substances in something that is grown in a certain area of the ocean. So we want USP to test that, so we know exactly what is in there and it's safe, it's safety. So who can recommend supplements? I mean, supplements, they're not medication. They don't need to be ordered by a doctor, but you want to make sure that the reason you are taking a supplement has come from a source, a trusted source. So think, yes, doctors, pharmacists, chiropractors, naturopaths, registered dietitians. And again, I'm not saying that any of these people, they could steer you wrong. They could have ulterior motives, but in general, these fields that are doing this work, people in these fields, their goal is to help people and, improve the health of their clients, their patients. So in general, these would be considered safe sources. But where do we hear about different supplements? We hear about, I still see infomercials on TV, all of the different social media outlets, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. People are constantly, Twitter, promoting different substances. Personal trainers are very, very, many of them, I should say, are very, it's very popular for them to recommend supplements. And again, some of them have their clients' best interest in mind, but many personal trainers get sort of kickbacks from a certain company if they recommend that product. And again, this is how social media works as well. If you're deciding to take a supplement, think about who is recommending this to you. What is their motivation for wanting you to use this product? Is it your health and wellness? Is it their wallet? Is their social media status? Are they going, if they get more people to follow them and buy their product, is that going to help their social media status and their income? So those are very, very important things to keep in mind when you're thinking about trying a supplement. And friends, mostly friends have our best interest in heart. But how many people do you know? I know, again, on Facebook, I have not necessarily close friends, but friends of friends who are, selling this kind of supplement or this kind of supplement. They're sort of selling them now like people used to sell Tupperware. They're representatives of these supplement companies. So again, you want to make sure the source of your recommendation is a source that is looking out for your health, number one, not their income level. So how do supplements fit into a healthy eating plan? First and foremost, as a dietitian, I always tell people your number one goal is to aim for a nutritious diet. Choose a variety of foods from within all of the food groups, a variety of food groups to maximize your nutrient intake. And there's multiple reasons for this, but one of the biggest reasons I always explain to people is that nutrients, there's two actually, nutrients in foods in many ways act together. They act synergistically. And so when you consume a food that has, vitamin this and mineral this, they work together to improve your health. But if you take, vitamin this as one pill, and then later on you take, mineral this as another pill, we're missing that synergistic effect, as well as the combination of just how those nutrients react with all of the other nutrients in that whole food versus something that we're getting in a pill. The other thing that I always remind people is that nutrition is a science and it changes constantly. And I mean, it wasn't too long ago that we scientists didn't know what phytonutrients are, things like antioxidants. And now, they're all the rage. We know the benefits of antioxidants. We know how helpful they are. But my thought as a scientist is always that there may be more nutrients in foods that we're still not aware of that are extremely beneficial. And if we're not aware of them, we're eating them in the foods and we're getting those benefits. But if we suddenly go to a supplement, it's missing that component because it hasn't been discovered yet. It hasn't even been identified yet. So we may be missing out on health benefits by just taking things from a pill. In addition, supplements, pills, powders, liquids, whatever they are, cannot replace a well-balanced eating plan. So you can't just have what I would call a low nutrition diet, fast food, sodas, chips, candies, all that, and think, oh, if I just take vitamins A, B, C, D, and minerals, iron, this and that, I'm just going to be perfectly healthy. It doesn't work that way. Pills don't make up for an unhealthy diet. What I actually like to consider supplements as sort of like insurance. So if you have generally a healthy eating plan, supplements are sort of like insurance for those times where you maybe have an occasional slip, nutritional slip, where something happened, maybe, life is stressful this week, you went on vacation, you did this, you did that, something happened, maybe you're not quite eating as well this week as you normally do. Supplements are there to sort of just kick in and bring everything up to where they should be. Also, supplements can be very helpful in boosting the nutrients that a person's diet may lack due to food allergies and intolerances. So somebody who is allergic to milk may benefit from a calcium supplement. So things like that, that's where I find supplements very helpful. So again, aim for a well-balanced diet and keep in mind that yes, foods are grouped into food groups because they share a nutrient profile, but there are also vast differences within food groups. So it's not enough to say, yes, I eat, I eat rice every day from the grain group, and I eat milk every day from the dairy group, and I eat carrots from the vegetable group and apples from the fruit group. that's not enough, because that's great. You're getting all those nutrients that are in the rice and the milk and the apple and the um, carrots, but you're missing out on all those nutrients that are found with the blueberries and the strawberries and the broccoli and the cauliflower and the potatoes and the whole grain cereals and crackers and yogurts and things like that. So you want to make sure, like I said, you're choosing a variety of foods within a variety of all the food groups. Another one thing, I was talking about how foods and supplements, or not supplements, but nutrients within foods act synergistically. A perfect example of this are fat-soluble vitamins. So vitamins A, D, E, and K need fat to be properly absorbed and to reap as the maximum of the benefits. So if you're just taking a supplement, you may not be getting enough fat with that nutrient to absorb as much as you should be. So ideally, if you have these nutrients, especially vitamin A and K, tend to be in vegetables, the colorful vegetables, the dark greens and the oranges and things like that. So fill a salad, have a big salad filled with reds and greens and oranges, and put a nice olive oil vinaigrette dressing on it. Now we're getting those vitamins and we're getting that fat, and together you're going to be able to absorb those nutrients and maximize your nutrient intake. Let's see. So who might benefit from supplementation? So like I said, I don't think there's a big deal, taking like a multivitamin as sort of insurance a day. But when we're talking about higher dose or more regular supplementation, there are specific people that may benefit from single nutrient supplementation. During pregnancy and lactation, women often need more iron, folic acid, calcium, things like that. So if you're unable to consume those nutrients from foods, a supplement may be beneficial. And most women do take prenatal vitamins, and that's why. Women with heavy menstrual periods tend to, if you're losing a lot of blood, it can cause you to be anemic. So an iron supplement may be beneficial. Vegetarians and vegans, really tough to get. One of the best sources of iron is red meat. Zinc is also high in meats. So vegetarians and vegans may be more susceptible to iron deficiency anemia. Doesn't mean that they have to get it, and doesn't mean that they have to supplement, but it's something that they want to be aware of, and a supplement may prove beneficial. Gastric bypass patients, they're having absorption issues, or they may be absorbing less nutrients than somebody who hasn't had that type of surgery, because a lot of times there's alterations in the way your intestine works, and that's where a lot of the absorption happens. People who have food allergies that restrict most or all of a food group. So I have a friend who's allergic to tomatoes. Does she need a supplement? No, she's not. I mean, the nutrients that are found in tomatoes are found in enough other foods that she's fine. When I was growing up, I used to be allergic to milk. So that meant milk, cheese, ice cream, yogurt, none of those I could have. So for me, a supplement would have been very beneficial, because those specific foods are the foods that are the highest in calcium of all the food groups. So I was missing an entire food group that provided my body with calcium. So someone wanted to know about nightshades and vegetables and inflammation. I sort of want to stick to, that's sort of a whole other topic. I'm sort of focusing on supplements today. But in terms of nightshades, I will just say that not everyone is affected by nightshades negatively. In some people, they may cause inflammation issues, but not necessarily in everyone. That's a very individual kind of reaction. But sorry, like I said, we only have a about 10 more minutes here, 5 more minutes. So I want to make sure we finish up our supplementation talk. Also, anyone who has digestive or absorption disorders, supplementation may be beneficial. Things like Crohn's disease, irritable bowel, pancreatitis, things like that, where you may not be absorbing the nutrients you should be from what you're eating. Vitamin D, somebody asked about vitamin D. Vitamin D is a very beneficial supplement, especially for those who live up here, and I'm in New England. So living in New England in the winter where you're not exposed to sun as much, vitamin D can be beneficial. However, I will say that it doesn't take a lot of exposure to the sun to get the vitamin D that you need. So even like today, it's a cold day out, but it's beautiful sunny day. So even getting out for 10, 15 minutes in the sun could really do a lot for my vitamin D. Let's see. So what we want to keep in mind as far as safety tips when it comes to taking supplements, I really want to cover this because this is what where I feel like a lot of the for me, a lot of the danger exists with supplements. Now, in general, I will say dietary supplements are safe when used as recommended, but there are concerns. So you never ever want to take a supplement without first asking your doctor or healthcare professional. And also, you want to make sure when you do go for your physical every year and the doctor, they ask you what medications are you taking, you always want to make sure you include supplements on that list, because supplements can interact with medications and they can interact negatively, or they could increase, so they can reduce the work of the medication, or they can make the medication that much more powerful. So either way, those are things a doctor needs to know when you're taking a supplement or when you're taking a medication. It needs to know how those interactions work, what interactions could be occurring. More is not always better. So specifically, I had mentioned the fat-soluble vitamins before, but fat-soluble vitamins, A, D, E, and K, they're stored. If you take in more than your body needs, it's stored. And when you get to the point where your body is storing too much, it can be dangerous. It's stored in the liver. And other vitamins, the B vitamins, vitamin C, those, you take too many of those, you're basically just wasting your money because you're going to pee them out. They're water soluble. But the fat soluble ones, so again, finances is also something to keep in mind with supplements. You don't want to waste your money. But in terms of health, if one vitamin A supplement is beneficial, 5 is not necessarily more beneficial. The other side of that is, I had said earlier, I don't see anything wrong with like a 1-a-day kind of multivitamin. But when you get into the single nutrient supplements, vitamin A, vitamin K, if you check the bottles, many of those supplements provide not just 100% of what you need, but sometimes they provide 500% of what you need. You don't need 500% of what you need 100% of what you need. So if you're eating 500% of what you need in a supplement, and perhaps you're also getting that nutrient in its natural form in foods, there is a risk that you're getting too much of that nutrient and it can cause problems. In addition to being, like I said, being stored in your body and causing issues, sometimes getting too much of one nutrient may decrease your body's ability to absorb other nutrients. So in your goal to make sure you're getting enough of something, you're actually causing yourself to be deficient in something else potentially. You always want to look for that USP seal that we talked about before. And you want to be very careful about herbal supplements, just because sometimes and this is again where we want to look for that USP seal whenever possible, they may contain ingredients that aren't necessarily listed in them. Things like estrogens and mercury, things that could be potentially dangerous. Maybe not to everybody, some would be to everybody, but some may be more dangerous to certain people with certain medical concerns. And you always want to also keep in mind, just because something is quote unquote natural, safe. It's a big misconception. Everybody hears that word natural and they think, oh, okay, I can eat it. It's natural. Well, opium is natural. Okay. Opium's a very, very dangerous drug, but it grows in a plant and it is natural. So just because it's natural doesn't mean it's safe. It can still cause side effects. It can still interact with medications. So these are all things that you need to be aware of when you are choosing to take a supplement. Somebody in the questions, and we are just about done. We've actually just about wrapped up our time here. But somebody asked about probiotic supplements, and the thing with probiotics, those tend to be very, very safe. Again, I would recommend take probiotics, have a cup of yogurt every day. But if that's, for allergy and tolerance reasons, even, really, really hate yogurt kind of reasons, probiotic supplements do tend to be one of those that are on the safer side. But again, check that ingredient list, check for USP approval, or, the USP seal, just to make sure that it has been checked out and verified by an external organization. But yes, they can be. And one way supplements can be very, very helpful. If you ever have to take high dose antibiotics, antibiotics tend to, they don't just kill the bad bacteria, they kill all the bacteria, and we do need some good bacteria. So what probiotic supplements are very beneficial. They help sort of feed that good bacteria and maintain that good bacteria when you're on the antibiotics. So that can help you not have problems with antibiotics in terms of digestive issues, cramping, diarrhea, things like that. So those are certainly some beneficial supplements. But that is about it. I will leave this page open because, like I said, I feel like this is some of the most important information. But I'm happy to stay on a few minutes if anybody has any more questions. Does it matter what time of day to take supplements? It doesn't really matter what time of day. That's a great question, actually. You do want to do it consistently every day. You don't want to take it at 5 today, 5 in the morning today, and 10 at night tomorrow, and then 4 in the morning the next day. And, you do want to be consistent. But I will say there are some supplements, again, this whole interaction thing. So calcium and iron interact negatively. And so you want to make sure if you are taking calcium and iron, or if you're taking iron separately, you don't want to consume. So you don't want to take your calcium and your iron pills together. You want to take if you're having yogurt or milk or something that's high in calcium. So make sure you space the iron and the calcium out. Also, some supplements negatively impact medication intake. So, for example, levothyroxine, which people take for thyroid issues, for low thyroid, should not be taken with iron. So, and when I say with, you want to wait like an hour or so, half hour or so before you consume that other nutrient. So it's not like you have to wait all day, but you want to make sure take your thyroid pill. And if you are taking an iron supplement or a multivitamin with iron, you wait for about a half hour or so before taking that pill. Is there a benefit to taking supplements with food? I think so, unless it specifically states not to take with food, or like I said, if it's these issues with iron and calcium and other interactions, I think so, because I think you're getting all those other, that whole digestion process, which allows for better absorption. And so I think it's beneficial to just, why not take them together? I think that can be helpful. But I thank everybody for your questions. You had some great questions. Says not to take calcium with levothyroxine. Yeah, so that's when, again, you'd want to space that one out. If you're doing levo in the morning, do your calcium perhaps in the evening. I will stay here for a couple more minutes in case anyone has any questions. Um, but otherwise, thank you for tuning in. I hope everybody at least learned something, and I hope you have a great rest of the day. All right, so it doesn't seem like anyone, there's a question. Can you take too much omega-3s and omega-6? Yes, so they are, again, they're fatty acids. So almost everything you can take too much of. So yes, you want to make sure you take them either as your medical professional recommends, or follow the guidelines on the bottle. I can't tell you exactly how many pills to take because different brands, different supplements have different amounts in their pills. Oh, can't even say that. I hope that makes sense.